My name is Rebecca Hasbach, and this video presentation is in fulfillment of my oral WOC requirement for THE200. This project consisted of two separate research parts. We first read and studied the collection of poems entitled Spoon River Anthology. These poems are a collection of first-person monologues. The characters speaking in these monologues are all dead and now talking from the grave. For the second part of our research, we explored the stories of those who died in 9/11 on legacy.com. These stories inspired our own first-person monologues, modeled by those of Spoon River. My monologue is fictional, although it ties strongly to a story that I read during my research. No matter how many times I got on a plane, I still was nervous. September 11, 2001 was not any different. I had this weird feeling stepping onto the plane, but again, I was nervous. I wish I would have listened to that feeling. I was on my way to California for an assignment when the flight was hijacked. I sat paralyzed in my seat. A passenger stood to try to fight, but the man seated behind him slashed his throat. His body collapsed into a pool of blood. It was apparent that we were surrounded by the hijackers. The first death in 9/11, the first of so many. It served as a reminder of what would surely happen if any of us decided to take a stand. I didn't want to think about what was going to happen. Deep down, I knew I was going to die. I just didn't want to believe it. I quietly ducked behind the chair in front of me and dialed my mom's phone number. Voicemail. I let out a long sigh and said, "Tell everyone I love them, and I'll always be there." I hung up. The lady next to me grabbed my hand and held it tightly to my chest. I still did not move. As I sat in that chair and the minutes ticked by, I thought of my parents and my siblings. I will miss my sister's wedding, first child, and so much more. I also will never get to experience my own. I boarded the plane in Boston, so the time it took to get to New York was not enough. The plane left Boston at 7:49. The crash, my death, was not even an hour later. At 8:46, the plane crashed into the first World Trade Center tower. At 8:46, the small woman's hand fell from mine as I fell into darkness, surrounded by smoke. When people talk about death, they say people who die see a light that guides them to heaven. All I saw was darkness. Maybe I was afraid, and I turned away. People say that's why there are ghosts. I came home on the day of my funeral at my parents' house in Ohio. I watched them cry, but they were grateful of the people who had come. Over 700 people, someone said. I didn't know that many people. My parents didn't need to cook food for weeks. I was happy that none of them had to grieve alone. I watched my sister and brothers hold each other and cry. I was happy that they had each other. 16 years later, and I still see my family cry. My sister sleeps with a picture of me on her nightstand. My brothers have a picture in their own wallet. They all still listen to that voicemail I left for my mom on September 11th, my voice reminding them that I'm always watching over them. All I wish is that they noticed me next to them, laying my head on their shoulder, praying for one last time that I would feel their warmth.